Hello, Donna here. Welcome to my channel, Speaking to Solutions for Transcending Trauma. I want to talk about the dismissive avoidance discard today. And we'll just call them DA for ease in the video. And I just want to share some of my experience, read a little bit from my journaling, and just really so like to give some peace to anyone that's been in a relationship with a DA. It's a very painful experience. They've basically shut down their need for connection. They may seek surface connection, but they don't really see the value in a deep connection. It's a fear that they have from their fear of engulfment. They often end up in what they call the dance with the anxiously attached. The thing is, an anxiously attached person sees the value in connection. So there is more hope for them. Actually, an anxiously attached, if they're with a secure person that is meeting their needs, they're not as anxious. I just want to say, even too, with someone that has some anxious tendencies around connection, that just sort of questioning yourself, like the attraction to DA, the dismissive avoidant, usually comes from having an emotionally unavailable parent. Maybe they worked a lot or they just didn't meet your emotional needs. And just the question is, like, do you really want someone that activates your anxiety? Like, it's just not a healthy thing. It's a compulsive thing. These attachment behaviors they're set up during our first 18 months of life. They're pre-verbal, they're very unconscious. But, we have the ability, we have consciousness. After the age of 25, the front lobes are fully online. Our ability, which, makes the ability to reason and logic and to be able to reflect, and look at our behaviors and decide, instead of just compulsively living out our attachment, how it's been set up, to actually look and decide that we want better. So, and yes, an avoidant DA, a dismissive avoidant, can also fare a little more well with a secure person, obviously, than an anxious, although they're also attracted to an anxious because their parents most likely were very engulfing. So they find that initially attractive. We get attracted to what we know. And, but if they ended up with a secure person, um, they would not feel like all that anxiety because a secure person is really in tune with their autonomy, their separateness, but they also value connection. So a secure person most likely also wouldn't really necessarily stay with someone that's very high on the spectrum of DA because they want their relationship needs met, and they wouldn't get as anxious about it as an anxiously attached. They would just be like, well, this person's not showing up for me and I'm looking for connection. So yeah, so just back to the DA is, they shut off that need for connection. So when we're looking for relationship connections, a DA is not where to go. Like when you start seeing some of those traits showing up, which I'll talk about in here, it's really better to just question what you need. And I'll get into that here. So, okay, it says that chill facade, that's a very much the traits of an avoidant, is chilling. I had often been attracted to people with the chill factor, which I wrongly paired to me thinking they were in control, had it together, and other positive attributes, which really are far from the truth. They are chill because they are cold, emotionally disconnected, and seek control over others because and yes, it sounds very similar to narcissism. I mean, people say I want to segue here, that there's a difference between a DA and a narcissist. Well, I think there is, but I also think that a narcissist, like everyone, has an attachment style. And most often they fall under DAs, dismissive avoidance. They do not feel the desire to deeply connect. So, all right, so back to this. So because they do not know how to control themselves. So normal distress reactions, that anxiety that gets activated and anxiously attached and in fearful avoidance with, that's another style, you can read about it. Normal distress reactions to a DA's discard. Those are normal, like to feel like we can feel a bigger height of anxiety than a secure person, but it is normal to feel some distress reactions around a partner discarding you. Hello? I mean, are you in tune with your feelings? Naturally, you do, of course. So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to skip over a lot of really personal stuff I wrote. Any unhealthy relationship, the good is not a cover for the harm. It's a whole picture. So, often DAs are, sorry, I'm reading it too. Often DAs are very charming and seductive. And, we can try to sort of hang on to that. And also the emotional unavailability that's under the surface that we're unconsciously recognizing. We're pair bonding, we're, oh, I forget the word, but it's pattern matching. We recognize it from childhood. So, like we recognize that trait, and of course, like think about it like really, really literally and logically. When you are attached to your caregiver as again, during the first 18 months of life, that becomes what you become attracted to and what you become attached to, what you end up seeking, because that was what you were paired with in childhood. So, that unavailability and that emotional unavailability and that neglectful stuff, and then some of the magical thinking about it, like, seeing them as, more of a prize than they are, is because, people that discard and, push away connection, they do like really painful discarding things. That's not a prize to win, but we naturally feel attracted to that unavailability because that's what we learned to attach to in childhood. So it feels hella familiar, and safe. So, hold on, did I read this part? Like I said, okay, so letting go. Okay, so how can we overcome like the discard from the DA? It's letting go of the only if I story, because in reality, like you may have had some of your own activating, there's deactivating strategies, pushing away relationship, and activating, chasing after, seeking it. Well, anxiously attached, they are going to activate your anxiety, your anxiousness. So, but the thing is, like, then we can like really dump on ourselves for some of our anxious behaviors. But the thing is, if you even behave perfect, so I want you to sort of let go of some of that narrative. If you let go of all your anxious behavior around this person and you act perfect and you were perfect the whole time, they were still going to discard you because it is who they are. They do not do depth. They do not do depth of connection. They will do superficial surface connection. They do not go deeper. They have a very ingrained fear of that, a fear of being engulfed. And really, in loving relationships, believe it or not, you do start to, what is the word? There's like a healthy merging, So, it's the two do become one in a way, and they are very afraid of that, in healthy relationships, there is that interdependency though. So it's strange because the two become one, but they're also still two, it's also still that separateness, there's still that, that autonomy there, but there is also I can't think of the word, but it's not the engulfing that they feel. There is somewhat of a merge that they are really afraid of, and they just will not go there. I don't think I was reading that part. Okay, so I think I was talking about some of their behaviors that maybe I was reading this whole part here. Okay. So it's because of who they are. I know that, sorry, too personal, trying to look for it. Okay, so I see now when he withdrew, I think I inevitably, okay, so I know we don't want to blame others for our behavior, like our own anxiety stuff. But darn it, we do affect each other. I see that when he withdrew, that, okay, like if I ever get into a relationship with the DA again, I think inevitably it would be triggering for me. It would feel disappointing and it would feel hurtful. However, I want more. That's my new mantra. I want more. I want more. I want more. I don't need to settle for mistreatment. I don't need to settle for coldness, hot and cold behavior. I can feel the pain of a DA's behaviors and not dismiss it or self-blame and recognize that I want more. Like, no matter how perfect you are, they will end up discarding you. They hit a point where in a relationship, depth is going to come, like even if it's completely surface, after a certain amount of time, there's some expectation for it to deepen, and that triggers them. So no matter, like, again, don't beat yourself up for your behavior. Look at it, and like, I can look back now and see all of my anxiety behavior, and I can recognize that I may still feel those things around someone discarding me, some of that anxiety, but not to be reactive with it. Recognize that, wow, that hurts. Feel it. Feel those feelings of how that feels to be discarded by someone. The deactivating strategies of a dismissive avoidant are painful. They deactivate by minimizing your value, by often seeking relationships with someone else before yours has ended.